Namaste. As a befitting tribute to Guruji Dr. H.S. Sinha, we plan to bring out the English translation of his videos on all the 6 schools of Indian philosophies. But before getting into each of the philosophies, I found it relevant and essential to make a couple of videos with introduction to the philosophies and their evolution, and discuss some of the striking common features and differences. This will certainly help us in understanding Guruji's videos better. My sincere thanks to Vikas ji for uploading this on the Quest channel and to Dr. Manish Sharma, Professor, Philosophy Department, University of Kurukshetra for his guidance. To know about origin of philosophy, one has to start from the history of mankind. Assuming that the origin of universe was roughly 450 crore years ago as per science, the origin of life on earth was about 370 crore years ago. Primates appeared around 12 million years ago, which can be divided into great apes like orangutan, gorilla, etc., and the biped animals. Homo sapiens appeared about 2.5 million years back. Cognitive revolution happened around 75,000 years back due to increase in the brain size, which gave rise to power of imagination, intelligence, reasoning and logic, and later memory functions developed. Cognitive development and formation of societies led to origin of languages. The nomadic hunting wanderers started settlements at a place to carry out farming. For protection against nature and animals, hutments and villages sprung up. Homo sapiens thus evolved from hunters to gatherers and then farmers and then thinkers. When the produce from farming exceeded consumption, storing of grains for future use began. Man started having more time to think once the basic necessities were satisfied. Thus, the philosophical inquiry of man began. The word philosophia in Greek means love of wisdom. Wikipedia defines it as the systematized study of general and fundamental questions such as those about existence, reason, knowledge, values, mind, and language. Another definition characterizes philosophy as thinking about thinking in order to emphasize its reflective nature. Philosophy has always been associated with wisdom, intellectual culture, and a search for knowledge. In this sense, all cultures and literate societies ask philosophical questions such as who am I, why am I here, and how are we to live in this world, and what is the nature of reality. Few definitions characterize philosophy in relation to its method, like pure reasoning, while other definitions focus on the content. But science-based definitions usually face the problem of explaining why philosophy in its long history has not made the same kind of progress which is seen in other sciences. However, philosophy can be identified as the mother of all sciences, since subjects like physics, psychology, and mathematics, which were part of philosophical studies, later branched out into individual sciences. That also explains why the study of any branch of science or humanities culminates in the study of philosophy, that is MPhil. We can say that while philosophy is more intuitive, science is more empirical. In other words, philosophical tools are concerned with conceptual analysis, while science is based on empirical data collected in laboratories. Historically, philosophy encompassed all bodies of knowledge, and a practitioner was known as a philosopher. Natural philosophy, which began as a discipline in ancient India and ancient Greece, encompasses astronomy, medicine, physics, etc. An early approach already found in ancient Greek and Roman philosophy is that philosophy is the spiritual practice of developing one's reasoning ability. Another popular definition is that philosophy is concerned with meaning, understanding, or the clarification of language. Let's see the nature of philosophy. Philosophy, be it Indian or Western, has the following main branches. One is metaphysics, which discusses the general issues regarding man, nature, and the God. It searches for the nature of basic substance of this universe. Then we have epistemology, which inquires into the nature of human knowledge as to how it develops and its limitations. Logic discusses the laws of valid reasoning, argumentation, and conclusions based on logic. Ethics elaborate on how to live a good life and standards of moral judgment. Aesthetics deals with beauty and symmetry related issues. In the West, axiology has also been added to philosophy, which discusses values. There are few differences in the approaches to philosophy between the West and India. Although the nature of philosophy is the same, the approach of Western philosophers is to discuss the branches separately, while Indian philosophers discuss a problem holistically from all possible approaches like metaphysical, ethical, logical, etc. This tendency has been called by some thinkers like B. N. Seal the synthetic outlook of Indian philosophy. The Western philosophy is more outward looking since they focus on the external world, nature, and why are things the way they are. But Indian philosophy generally focuses on the search for knowledge of man, the world, and the God and their mutual relationships. Indian philosophy is often considered to be synonymous with Hindu philosophy. But we must remember that the word Hindu denotes only the geographical location of the Hindu people, which is India, and not to the religion per se. This is evident from the Sarvadarshana Sangraha of Sri Madhvacharya, which tries to present at one place the views from various schools of philosophy, including those of atheists and unorthodox thinkers like Buddhas and Jains. Hence, Indian philosophy is marked by an unflinching and uncompromising devotion to search for truth. This is also observed in the philosophical discussions and debates of the Vedic period and the post-Vedic times. Now, this is a very interesting thing. A philosopher challenging views of any other philosophy had to first state the views of the opponent, which was called Purva Paksha. This was to test his understanding of the opponent's philosophy. This was generally followed by Khandana, the refutation of the opponent's views. Last of all came the statement and proof of the philosopher's own stance, which was called Uttara Paksha, during which he had to logically prove the opponent wrong. The conclusion was called Siddhanta, which was the outcome of the discussion or the debate. This shows the openness of mind of the debaters, willingness to listen and learn using logical processes to arrive at the truth. Now, let us look at the various schools of Indian philosophy. The schools of Indian philosophy are divided into two broad classes, namely Orthodox, that is Astika, and Heterodox, the Nastika philosophies. The Astika group, which consists of the Mimamsa, Vedanta, Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, and Vaisheshika, is that which believes and accepts the authority of Vedas, while Nastika group, which consists of the Charvakas, Buddhism, and Jainism, do not believe in the Vedas. In the Astika group, the Mimamsa and the Sankhya do not believe in God as the creator of the universe. There are other orthodox groups in addition to the above. Vedas are the earliest available records of Indian literature, and hence all the schools of thought were greatly influenced by the Vedas, either positively or negatively, and they developed their own philosophies. The Vedic tradition had two sides, ritualistic and speculative, that is, karma and jnana. While the Purva Mimamsa emphasized on the ritualistic part of Vedas, the Uttara Mimamsa or Vedanta highlighted the importance of knowledge and rational thinking. These two may be regarded as direct continuation of the Vedic knowledge. Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, and Vaisheshika, they based their theories on human experiences and reasoning but did not challenge the Vedas. The Charvakas and Buddhism and Jainism arose mainly in revolt against the ritualistic Vedic culture, and hence they rejected them. However, the aim of all philosophical wisdom is not merely the satisfaction of intellectual curiosity, but to live an enlightened life led with foresight, and insight. This gave rise to the four Purushartha: Dharma, Artha, Kama, and Moksha. Since most of the philosophical questions are abstract and are beyond experience, philosophy proceeds from the known to the unknown. The foundation of philosophy is experience, and the tool used is reason. There are 6 accepted sources of knowledge in the Indian philosophies. The first one is Pratyaksha, which is experience through sense organs. An example can be when you actually see a fire in the hills with your eyes. The second one is Anumana, inference through previous experience. The example can be when you see only the smoke from the hills and you infer that there must be a fire. Third one is Shabda, the testimony of an expert in the field. Though you are unable to see either smoke or fire, a person living close by informs you that there is a fire in the hills, and you believe it. The fourth one is Upamana, is the comparison with a similar known object or event. Example can be when you see a laser show which shows fire which is exactly like the real fire and you compare both. The fifth one is Arthapatti, which is presupposition. If smoke is observed on the hill continuously for 3 days, presupposing that there will be smoke on the 4th day as well. The sixth one is Anupalabdhi, which is proof by absence. If a person says that there is no fire on the hill, he is affirming that there is something called fire, although it is absent. It is observed that in the West, different philosophies came into existence successively. Each school of thought became dominant for a certain period of time until another replaced it. However, in India, many philosophies coexisted, although few were dominant. Each philosophy had a set of followers and mutual criticism was always present. This has made Indian philosophy its own critic. Though different schools opposed each other, there was harmony, and they believed that all persons were not inclined towards the same objectives and recognized distinctions in aptitudes, adhikara bheda. In India, it is said that people lived their philosophy and handed it over to subsequent generations. The charge against Indian philosophies is that they are dogmatic rather than critical. However, this is not true since all the schools of philosophy are based on logic and independent reasoning, which have been explained till now. I hope I have been able to successfully summarize the basis of Indian philosophies. In the next video, let us understand how the different schools of thought evolved and the common thread running through all the Indian philosophies. Thank you.